It's my pleasure to contribute to this stage of the debate, and particularly on this side we're quite focused on local boards. And there's been a lot of rhetoric about local boards, a lot of talk about democracy, a lot of lip service on giving local communities a voice. But to really understand the principles behind this debate, I think we need to understand the context under which the submissions have been made, and for no community is that more true than the community of Waiheke Island. An enormous number of submissions were made by the residents of Waiheke, not only for each of the bills they were given the opportunity to submit on, but to the Royal Commission itself, and for good reason. No community knows more the impact of poor decision-making by council without local residents being given a voice than the people of Waiheke, and no more so than through the decision made by the Auckland City Council last year on Waiheke's waste management. For those who don't know the story, let me give you some background of this 18-month battle. Waiheke was a gold standard in waste management. A local initiative, Clean Streams, under the director of John Stansfield, provided well over 20 jobs and diverted 60% of Waiheke's waste from landfill, and not just categorised it as some apparent recyclers do, but on-sold it. Not only that, they worked in unison with JTech Industries and Auckland University to develop ECB, a composite board made of waste products and durable enough to be used as a building component. They were doing what many communities aspired to, and what happened? Auckland City Council, via a block vote by CNR councillors, moved the waste resource contract at Waiheke Transfer Station to a multinational waste giant, Trans-Pacific Industries. Not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but for 10 years. A $21 million contract awarded against the strong opposition of not only a number of councillors, but almost an entire community. And why does this matter? Well, for two reasons. If a community rightly calls for waste minimisation to be factored into a tendering process, if they call for sustainability to be at the heart of the way their community is governed and operates, then local government needs to listen and should have listened. And secondly, as I heard John Stansfield very wisely say at one point, waste management is about human behaviour, and it is. And no one knows more about the behaviour of a community and its people better than the people itself. That is why Waiheke did it better. Mr. Chair, there is a lesson to be learned here, and we know that generally speaking there was much to improve about the way our local governance structures worked in Auckland, but there was also plenty of room to make it worse. Sadly, I feel like that we are dealing with the latter. I periodically sat on the select committee for this third bill. In fact, on one of the first days of submissions, I was lucky enough to hear a submission from the Human Rights Commission. Not only did they criticise the process the government had used to progress this legislation, they questioned the way the local boards would operate and the distorted hierarchy whereby CCOs had comparatively stronger regulatory powers than those democratically elected bodies, such as the local boards. And they were right to point that out. Too often we have heard government MPs try to claim that local boards will be stronger than community boards, and therefore the belief that this government has somehow answered the concerns of submitters. I dispute that on both levels. A, the contention that they are stronger, and B, that this is the kind of body we needed. Let's not be under any illusion here. The local boards will be the face of local democracy and take on the majority of contact. Under the way we currently view local government, they will be required to act like a council, but will have none of the powers of one. Mr. Chair, had this bill given local boards a true and genuine voice, had they had the kind of powers that would allow them to determine substantive issues, to fulfil their own desire, for instance, to operate in a sustainable way, then I wouldn't feel so compelled to introduce the SOP that I have tabled, which transfers all of Waiheke's waste management powers to the Waiheke Local Board. The community may be under a 10-year contract. The least we can do is give them back that decision-making power to the board for the longer term and for their future. Mr. Chair and Minister, Waiheke proved that they did it better, and now it's the government's chance to prove they listen and to support my amendment and to go one step further than that and give people what they ask for, give local boards real power and stop leaving it all to chance. Mr. Chair, I wouldn't mind spending a little more time going over the reality of what we've been left with in terms of powers for local boards. Yes, Chair.
I call Phil Twyford.